Nobody saw it coming. It Ends With Us, a fan-favorite novel with an emotionally charged storyline, was destined to be Justin Baldoni's major directorial moment. He'd secured the rights, found a modest budget, and planned to adapt Colleen Hoover's bestseller into a thoughtful piece of cinema. Then, rumors started swirling about Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds orchestrating a behind-the-scenes power move so methodical that some called it a hijacking of the entire project. On the surface, Blake joined the film as just another Hollywood star, taking on the role of Lily Bloom. Ryan, meanwhile, appeared to stay in the background, occasionally spotted on set or offering moral support. But as production rolled on, odd details leaked. Whispers of script rewrites done without the official screenwriter's input, editing room drama that locked the director out of his own vision. Even the possible involvement of Taylor Swift, who might have played a surprising role in the film's musical direction. Could this be the new face of big-time Hollywood maneuvering, or just a swirl of conspiracies fueled by the internet's fascination with celebrity couples? In the following chapters, we'll explore the claims, dissect the strategies, and see how each step might align with a grand plan to seize control, not just of It Ends With Us, but possibly an entire empire built on Colleen Hoover's literary universe. By the end, you'll have to decide if all this talk of stepping on toes and taking over the show is an overblown rumor or the biggest star-powered ambush in recent Tinseltown history. Let's go back to the starting line. Justin Baldoni, best known for his acting role in Jane the Virgin and a handful of directing gigs, acquired the rights to adapt Colleen Hoover's It Ends With Us years before the public even knew. His fledgling production company, Wayfarer, was slated to produce it. By most accounts, he was deeply passionate about the novel's themes and eager to bring them to the screen with creative integrity. Financing came next. The film's total budget was set at a relatively modest $25 million. Enough to attract decent talent, but nowhere near the sky-high sums typical of major studio tentpoles. Sony stepped in as a co-distributor, ready to handle the marketing muscle. But for the most part, the show was expected to remain Justin's baby. He poured a large share of his personal finances into the project, gambling on the novel's massive fan base. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, Blake Lively entered the picture. Initially, the tabloids praised the casting choice. Blake had proven range, from the age of Adeline to A Simple Favor, and fans were curious to see her embody Lily Bloom. Her reported salary was $3 million, a considerable fee, but surprisingly modest for a star of her caliber. That alone raised eyebrows. Was Blake simply taking a cut because she believed in the story? Or was there another angle? Industry insiders pointed to Ryan Reynolds' early career moves on Deadpool as a possible parallel. Ryan famously accepted a smaller paycheck for the first Deadpool flick, around $2 million, in exchange for creative influence. That bet paid off. Not only did Deadpool smash box office expectations, but Ryan also renegotiated for a far heftier salary and a crucial producer credit on the sequel. It left him with significant creative control, plus a share of the back end that reportedly netted him tens of millions. Could Blake have studied those moves and drawn a blueprint for her own trajectory? Critics argue that this was exactly the case. By taking a below-market salary for It Ends With Us and insisting on an executive producer title, she positioned herself as an indispensable element without spooking the financiers. A cunning introduction, if you believe the whispers. Money on film sets doesn't last forever. That $25 million can shrink in the blink of an eye once you account for location fees, crew wages, set construction, camera rentals, and every other line item. Halfway through production, any large-scale replacement, especially the lead actor, would be catastrophic. And according to the rumors, Blake used that knowledge to her advantage. The wardrobe debacle was the first sign of friction. Allegedly, the original costume department had spent weeks curating Lily Bloom's outfits, mindful of the story's emotional arcs and the character's humble beginnings. But once the clothing was finalized and purchased, Blake began requesting radical changes. She demanded multiple new ensembles, rejecting large swaths of the wardrobe the department had painstakingly assembled. Costumes had to be shipped to her home for private fittings, adding logistical and financial strain. For a project already running on a tight budget, those changes were not inconsequential. But what could Justin do? Replacing Blake at that stage would have meant reshoots, scheduling nightmares, and possibly the collapse of the entire endeavor. This is where people draw a parallel to Ryan's Deadpool experience. In that film, Ryan had creative sway from day one. He crafted jokes, ad-libbed dialogue, and shaped the overall tone. Over time, the production relied on him so heavily that removing him wasn't an option. Some claim Blake harnessed a similar brand of leverage. Once half the money was gone, her departure would spell financial doom. Justin Baldoni and his production team reportedly bit their tongues and tried to maintain a professional front. They knew they were in a precarious position. Meanwhile, rumors circulated that Blake was just getting started. Wardrobe was the tip of the iceberg. The next step, many believe, was script control. Every film typically has a screenwriter or team of screenwriters who shape the dialogue and narrative arc. However, the grapevine suggests that Blake, with Ryan's help, began to rewrite significant portions of the It Ends With Us script. Not minor tweaks for comedic timing, but entire conversations, including a pivotal rooftop scene between Lily and Ryle. When confronted, Blake supposedly alluded to her dragons, using a Game of Thrones reference. For Daenerys Targaryen, dragons were unstoppable weapons of war. Here, Blake's dragons were Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift, two global powerhouses in entertainment. Ryan, an expert at comedic punch-up and quick dialogue, was presumably aiding in the line-by-line rewrites. Taylor Swift, rumored to be close with both Blake and Ryan, also loomed in the background, offering moral support or even creative suggestions. The real tension, however, came to a head when Blake invited Justin Baldoni over to her home. Expecting a private chat about possible script improvements, Justin walked in to find Ryan and Taylor already there. The story goes that they showered Blake with praise, effectively cornering Justin into either agreeing with their changes or looking like the out-of-touch bad guy. Stuck in a living room full of star power, Justin had few options. While he did push back, reminding them he was the director, he later left a voice message at 2 a.m., apologizing for any misunderstanding. Some see this as the definitive moment Justin lost his grasp on the film's creative reins. From then on, the rumor is that Blake and Ryan had a green light to shape the script as they pleased, with Taylor's input occasionally seasoning the process. As if all that wasn't enough, Hollywood soon found itself in a major predicament: the writers' strike. Productions across the industry ground to a halt, unsure when or how they would resume. For Justin, this was a potential nightmare. He had already poured tremendous funds into It Ends With Us and couldn't afford endless delays. For Blake, the strike was a golden opportunity. Rumor has it she seized on the downtime to demand further concessions. Renegotiating during a crisis can be a highly effective tactic. Everyone's on edge, worried about losing momentum or hemorrhaging money. She allegedly presented Justin and the production team with a list of 17 non-negotiable demands. These included creative oversight, approvals on marketing materials, and even partial authority in choosing secondary cast members if any reshoots became necessary. Sony, as co-distributor, was equally anxious. They'd earmarked marketing dollars for an upcoming promotional push and needed their star front and center. Although the specifics of these negotiations remain shrouded in secrecy, the power dynamics appear straightforward. Blake was too critical to lose. Justin, strapped financially and locked into distribution timelines, had limited bargaining power. This scenario mirrors Ryan's pivot from Deadpool to Deadpool 2. Once the first film became a smash, Ryan was no longer just an actor. He was a proven creative and box office draw. Studios were compelled to meet his demands, from a heftier base salary to a significant back-end deal. Now, if you trust the rumors, Blake was using that same playbook, ensuring she'd emerge from It Ends With Us with far more than just a leading role. Typically, once filming wraps, the director steps into a carefully protected period known as the director's cut, a time when only the director and the film's editor refine the movie's final shape. It's crucial for preserving the director's vision. But according to the murmurings around town, that sanctified process went out the window. Blake lively requested, and got, access to the editing suite. Initially, this was supposed to last 2 days, but it turned into 10. That extended access allowed her, and by extension Ryan, to reshape scenes, adjust comedic beats, and even fiddle with the movie's pacing. Several of the original editors, who had been loyal to Justin's creative direction, found themselves replaced. In came new hires from Ryan's circle, individuals who had worked on Deadpool or other Reynolds-led projects. Simultaneously, the composer chosen for It Ends With Us was let go, reportedly after Taylor Swift expressed some personal reservations about their prior collaboration. Suddenly, an entirely new person stepped in to score the film. Again, someone rumored to be on friendly terms with Team Reynolds. When the dust settled, there were two versions of It Ends With Us: Justin Baldoni's director's cut and the lively Reynolds cut. Test audiences were shown both, and word on the street suggests Justin's version slightly outperformed Blake's. Yet that was hardly the end of the standoff. By now, the lines were clearly drawn. Justin had the official role of director, not to mention the financial burden of the film's success or failure. Blake, on the other hand, had an ever-growing list of creative credits and the unspoken power that comes with being the project's front-facing celebrity. The stage was set for an explosive confrontation over which cut would see the light of day. Studios know that without the lead star hitting talk shows, red carpets, and social media, a movie can lose a significant percentage of its potential audience. That's exactly why the final rumor in this chain of events is so chilling. Blake Lively allegedly threatened to withhold all promotional support and possibly walk off entirely if her cut wasn't chosen as the official film version. Imagine the pressure. Justin, whose money, reputation, and future career prospects were tied to It Ends With Us, faced the possibility that his main star would essentially ghost the marketing campaign. Sony, similarly, would have a massive hole in their promotional strategy. Fans were expecting a full-throttle push from the actress playing Lily Bloom, perhaps with tie-in appearances from the author, Colleen Hoover, or even a cameo by Taylor Swift for an original song or a special performance. Losing that would be more than an inconvenience. It could doom the film's commercial viability. Compounding all of this was the rumor that Blake and Ryan were also in active discussions with Colleen Hoover about future adaptations. The success or failure of It Ends With Us might influence whether an entire slate of Hoover's novels would become films under the same creative banner. If that proved true, then Blake's marketing presence was not just about one movie, but a long-term franchise possibility. For Justin, the choice must have been gut-wrenching. Stand by his director's cut and risk the star's withdrawal, or concede to Blake's demands and possibly see his original vision diluted. Whichever path he chose, the stakes were impossibly high. And if you believe the scuttlebutt, Blake's final tactic paid off, pushing her closer to the ultimate prize, a formal producer's credit recognized by the Producers Guild of America, PGA. People outside Hollywood might wonder, what's the big deal about a producer credit? Isn't that just a vanity label slapped on to make an actor happy? Not in this case. The Producers Guild of America has strict guidelines for awarding its prestigious PGA mark, which signals that the credited individual truly performed substantial producer duties. To qualify, a producer must be involved in multiple aspects of the film's creation: script development, hiring key personnel, guiding post-production, including editing, and participating in marketing strategies. Based on the rumors, Blake systematically checked every box. Script development. She and Ryan rewrote dialogue, allegedly forcing changes in pivotal scenes. Hiring personnel. New editors were brought in on her recommendation, while the original composer was axed and replaced with someone connected to her circle. Post-production oversight. She and Ryan spent 10 days in the editing bay, shaping an alternative cut. Marketing involvement. Her ultimatum to promote or not promote the film, depending on the chosen cut, demonstrated her direct hand in the film's commercial rollout. Securing a PGA mark would be a game-changer for Blake Lively. It would catapult her from just another leading lady into the ranks of bona fide Hollywood power brokers, akin to what Ryan achieved post-Deadpool 2. That status opens doors for bigger deals, bigger budgets, and a slice of the profits that can dwarf an actor's upfront paycheck. Critics argue that It Ends With Us was the perfect vehicle for Blake to stage this leap. The project was risky enough that she could negotiate from a position of strength. Justin, strapped for cash and reliant on her star power, had fewer escape routes. Meanwhile, the property's enormous fan following promised that any adaptation, if done halfway decently, would draw massive attention. In short, it was a golden ticket to leveling up. One of the most compelling angles of this entire saga is the potential for more Colleen Hoover adaptations. The author's catalog is extensive, with many of her novels breaking sales records and inspiring feverish fandoms. If It Ends With Us succeeds at the box office, it could pave the way for spin-offs, sequels, or entirely new projects based on Hoover's other works. Enter Heartbones Entertainment, a recently mentioned company that Colleen Hoover is said to be developing. Speculation abounds that Blake and Ryan want to collaborate with Hoover on future film or streaming deals, effectively controlling a pipeline of bestsellers ripe for adaptation. If that's true, then It Ends With Us is merely the starting point, like a pilot test for a much bigger plan. In this vision, Blake's climb to recognized producer status isn't just about one film credit. It's about laying the groundwork to co-produce or even fully produce an entire stable of Hoover-inspired hits. Ryan Reynolds, with his knack for comedic timing and proven success in building franchises, would be a powerful ally, especially if the projects require witty marketing or crossover appeal. Taylor Swift, meanwhile, could contribute theme songs, cameo roles, or promotional tie-ins, further broadening the audience. For Justin Baldoni, the worst-case scenario is that he becomes a footnote in this unfolding empire, someone who first brought It Ends With Us to the screen, only to watch it slip out of his hands. Or perhaps he'll remain marginally involved, overshadowed by the star wattage of Hollywood's It couple and their influential social circle. Whatever the outcome, this is no ordinary adaptation. It's increasingly looking like the birth of a potential cinematic universe, fueled by the star power of Lively, Reynolds, Swift, and the unstoppable popularity of Hoover's novels. Rumor has it that tensions reached a boiling point at a pivotal screening or premiere event. Justin Baldoni, who should have been front and center as director and financial backer, allegedly found himself relegated to a basement-level holding area, along with friends and family for over an hour, barred from mingling with VIP guests or even addressing the crowd. Why? Some insiders claim that Blake preferred the spotlight to remain on her, perhaps to reinforce the notion that she was the film's de facto driving force. Others say it was simply a miscommunication. Either way, it created a humiliating situation for Justin, a man who'd spent years of his life and much of his personal fortune shepherding this project into existence. For those sympathetic to Justin, it was the ultimate betrayal, a shining example of how the original visionary behind a project can be shunted aside once big names step in. For those critical of Justin, it might be an inevitable side effect of hitching your wagon to high-profile stars who understand the game of Hollywood better than you do. That basement story underscores the emotional dimension of this alleged takeover. It's not just about money, creative control, or PGA marks. It's also about personal pride, relationships, and who truly owns a film once powerful figures sink their claws in. If there's truth to the claims of that humiliating night, it's a reminder that Hollywood can be a battleground where reputations, egos, and livelihoods are constantly on the line. The question remains, is this beneficial or detrimental? On one hand, fans love seeing big stars champion projects they're passionate about. On the other, it can sideline directors, screenwriters, and smaller players who originally championed the story. Power can be wielded for good or ill, and Hollywood has always been a place where hidden deals and manipulations run rampant. Justin Baldoni's story, if half of the rumors are true, serves as a cautionary tale about how quickly control can slip away. One day you're the driving force behind a potential hit. The next, you're fighting tooth and nail against unstoppable forces that overshadow your contributions. Then again, maybe Justin's final cut will ultimately prevail, or maybe a compromise will see the light of day. The only certainty is that these behind-the-scenes dramas often end up just as riveting as the stories playing out on screen. With Colleen Hoover's massive readership hungry for more adaptations, it's likely that It Ends With Us won't be the end of this saga. We may see spin-offs, sequels, or entirely new franchises, potentially all controlled or influenced by the lively Reynolds power duo. If the film becomes a runaway success, they'll have all the evidence they need to keep forging deals that cement them as Hollywood's next great producing couple. If it flops or stumbles under the weight of these controversies, we might witness a very public reckoning. But for now, the ball remains in their court, and in the court of every fan eagerly waiting to see how the final product will turn out. Will the film reflect Justin Baldoni's earnest interpretation of Colleen Hoover's beloved novel? Or will it lean more toward the comedic style and star-driven showmanship that Ryan Reynolds is famous for? Perhaps the real outcome lies somewhere in the middle, a hybrid of both visions. One thing is sure, the alleged hijacking has already become part of the lore surrounding It Ends With Us. Whether you view Blake's moves as brilliant, manipulative, or just plain strategic, the conversation itself is testament to how star power can tilt an entire production in unforeseen directions. And if that's not a testament to the high-stakes world of Hollywood, nothing is. In the end, you, the audience, will ultimately decide how you feel about it all. Will you support the film because you adore Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, or avoid it out of solidarity with a director who may have been sidelined? Will you cheer on the creation of a Hoover cinematic universe, or bemoan the corporatization of another beloved book series? Regardless of your stance, the saga behind It Ends With Us offers a rare glimpse into how quickly the Hollywood machine can shift gears when a power couple sets their sights on controlling the narrative, on screen and off. Thank you for watching. Stay curious, keep questioning, and remember, sometimes the most riveting stories in Hollywood unfold behind closed doors, far from the glamour of the red carpet. If this alleged takeover taught us anything, it's that star power, strategic thinking, and unyielding ambition can transform even the most humble project into a battleground for control. And in Tinseltown, it's often the biggest power plays that leave the deepest marks.